Hello everyone, Mike Adams here with Learn Audacity. Hey, in this video, I want to talk briefly about why I retired my podcast. Audacity Bootcamp was the name of the podcast, and I retired it. I also want to introduce you to a book that I recently bought. It came just the other day. It's called 101 Podcast Templates. And so I want to show that to you, and I want to talk about it as well. So stick around. Yeah, it's true. I decided to retire or shut down the Audacity Bootcamp podcast. I found it really difficult. I think it was a good idea, but just the wrong timing. That's kind of how I view it anyway. It was hard for me to do what I do in videos, like what I do here on this channel. I do a lot of instructional videos. It's hard to translate that into an audio-only format because, you lose a connection. If you're not watching what I'm doing on the screen, you like the way I wave my hand up there? If you're not watching what I'm doing on the screen, you kind of get lost in it and you think, oh, this isn't really interesting. Well, then this is the clincher that really caused me to decide to retire that podcast is I got this notification from my podcast host. Now, this isn't good. 0 downloads. We anticipate 0 downloads on your next episode. I thought, it's time. It's time to retire this thing, to admit defeat, and to move on to what is my strength, which is these videos. Well, then, the other day, I'm not joking, it was literally the other day, I had an email conversation with David Hooper. And David Hooper reminded me or informed me that he has an audio book out now that's a audio version of the paperback that is also recently published. And that paperback book is called 101 Podcast Episode Templates. And the reason that I bring this up is because it's so easy to get into a funk. When I saw that notice from my download or from my podcast host, I got in a bit of a funk and I thought, this isn't really going anywhere and it's kind of pointless. No one's going to listen to it and on and on and on. Well, this book, 101 Podcast Episode Templates by David Hooper, is a really good resource for when you get into one of those funks. So if you're a podcaster or if you're a video producer, whatever your capacity is, if you're doing spoken word in some form, either podcast or on video, this is a good resource. Let me show this to you. Kind of hold it up here a little bit, get my fat hand out of the way so that you can see it. Hopefully you can see all of that. And 101 Podcast Episode Templates, it's about 238 pages, somewhere right around there. Again, I got the paperback version of it. You can also get it in audio format as an audiobook through Amazon. And I'll have the link to this book in the description of this video. But this is a good resource because it can pull you out of a funk pretty quick and give you some good ideas on how to or where to go, how to proceed in your podcast or in your video channel when you get into one of those funks. The first 101 chapters of this book are literally the 101 podcast templates. And they are podcast templates, but you can use them for anything. You can use them on video here or for whatever you're doing. But let's look at some of these. There's these possibilities, these suggestions for podcast episodes or video episodes. Here's one, a weird viewpoint. Here's another one here called A Day in the Life. My biggest failure. Man, I got a lot of those. Doing an episode on your biggest failure. My first time blank. You fill in the blank. Here's one, lessons from blank. And another one is how I blank. Kind of a how-to deal. Quote of the day. Doing a tribute. Today in history or your year in review. Pro versus con, a satire episode, a how-to episode, a recommendation, a motivational episode, a teaser, a warning, a rough draft. I mean, look at this. Look at this. There's just all kinds of these suggestions here for different ideas and different templates in the first 101 chapters of this book. This is a good resource because it can pull you out of a funk. If you're feeling stuck, this book can be a good resource for giving you some ideas and pulling you out of the funk that you find yourself in. Because we've all been there. And so at some point, I'll probably come back and resurrect that podcast in some form. My other podcast, the On Sunday Show, is going full bore. I mean, it's getting all kinds of positive feedback and a lot of hits. So I just wanted to bring this book to your attention, 101 podcast episode templates. I don't have any kind of a kickback on this. I know David only through some social media, some email. He actually interviewed me on his Red podcast about a year and a half ago maybe, and that's how we met. But good guy, and I recommend this book. I know he's written a couple of others, and he's participated in a lot of audiobooks as well. But you can find him at bigpodcast.com, and I'll have a link to that in the description below. But I wanted to just let you see this because we all have struggles at times, and this is a good resource for how to get out of that area of being stuck. When we feel like we're just out of ideas and we don't know where to go, here's 101 ideas, and it's some good stuff, and I think you'll enjoy it. So, hey, that's all I have for you right now. I'm going to let you go, and until next time, y'all take care.